One of the hardest parts about being a top team in any league really is that once you build that top team, it's not very long before some of those guys are gonna start leaving. Now, whether it's because players get old, they get expensive, they get hurt, or any other kind of crazy stuff that can happen during a season, every year we see top teams have to watch the players that have helped them be successful over the years walk out the door in free agency. Now, the Dodgers have been through this plenty of times over the last handful of years, and after finishing last season with the best record in the majors, 111-51, once again, they were going to have to reload this roster, especially after coming up short in the NLDS. They had to watch shortstop Trey Turner go and sign a $300 million deal with the Phillies. Starters Tyler Anderson and Andrew Heaney completely switched leagues and went over to the AL West. Longtime clubhouse leader Justin Turner went and signed with the Red Sox, and former MVP center fielder Cody Bellinger went over to the Chicago Cubs trying to resurrect his career. There were a lot of holes to fill on this roster, and the Dodgers seem to have a plan for most of them. To replace Trey at shortstop, they're going to slide Gavin Lux over from second base, coming off of a 113 WRC plus season, but then to replace him at second, as well as Justin Turner's spot at third, they had top 100 prospects Miguel Vargas and Michael Busch just waiting for their opportunities, with Max Muncy to factor in there somewhere as well. Now, for some of these spots in the rotation and for some depth, they would bring in Noah Syndergaard, but they also had even more top 100 prospects in Bobby Miller, Ryan Pepio, and Gavin Stone. But now this leaves us with one last big spot to fill here, and that's Cody Bellinger's out in center field. Now, the Dodgers did have another top 100 prospect, in Andy Pages, who could fill that outfield spot, but they didn't quite feel like he was ready yet, so they had him start this year at Double-A, so they had to turn somewhere else to try to fill this spot, and they would go with their number 13 prospect at the end of 2022, James Outman. Now, Outman was drafted in the 7th round in 2018 by the Dodgers out of Cal State University, Sacramento, and he'd worked his way through 403 games in the minors, hitting .263, .363, .496 for an .859 OPS with 79 home runs in about 1,800 plate appearances. Now, Outman did flash some good power with those homers and slugging percentage, as well as showing some patience at the plate, walking about 12% of the time, to go along with some speed as well, swiping some bags. He was 68, so close, just over 77% on stolen bases. But if there's one weakness that he showed in the minors, it's that he did have the tendency to strike out just a bit at about 26.5%. Now, Outman did make his debut last season playing in 4 games, but this year getting his first full opportunity in the major leagues in his age 26 season, he's making the absolute most of it. In 26 games this year, he's slashing .287, .367, .644 for a 1.011 OPS with 7 home runs in 98 plate appearances. And those tools that he flashed in the minor leagues are showing up here in the majors, and especially that power, where he's been absolutely barreling baseballs, ranking in the 94th percentile this year. We're also seeing that same patient hitter that we saw in the minors, with him currently in the 72nd percentile in chase rate and walking over 10% of the time. And finally, now that he's in the major leagues, we can get a real gauge on his advanced numbers when it comes to his speed and fielding, and he is not disappointed, ranking at least in the 90th percentile in sprint speed, outs above average, and arm strength. So we're talking about a center fielder that has that power speed combo that everybody covets, takes his walks, covers a ton of ground defensively, and has an absolute cannon of an arm. But that same issue that we saw with him in the minors is showing up here in the majors as well. Now, just as well as he's done with hitting the ball, he struggled just about as much as putting the bat to the ball consistently, whiffing at about 35% of the time and striking out around 29%. Now, both of those are not good. That ranks him in the 12th percentile in whiff rate and the 20th percentile in strikeout rate. So for him, this is where he's really going to have to improve at the major league level. Now, a lot of power hitters do have this swing and miss tendency, and even to start this year, you have guys like Aaron Judge, Jazz Chisholm, Matt Olson, Trey Turner, and Nick Castellanos, who are all in the bottom 15th percentile in whiff rate. So he's got to show that this is just a tendency that's going to pop up here and there and not a full-blown weakness that pitchers across baseball will exploit against him. So to start this year, Outman is looking like he's next in line of Dodgers rookies to just absolutely break out. His power-speed combo paired with all-around really good defense at a premier defensive position could make him an absolute star in this league. But like every other player, he does have his weaknesses, and how much he's going to improve on those is really going to determine how good he ends up being in the major leagues here. So I'm curious your thoughts, how much he can improve on this and what his ceiling really is. Now every year we have players like Outman that seem to break out of almost nowhere, but we also get teams that break out of almost nowhere. Think of the Orioles last season. And this year, currently leading the NL Central, the Pittsburgh Pirates are looking like they might be that breakout team this year. They're surprising a lot of people, and to find out more about that, you can check out this video right here, or you can check out all of the videos from the 2023 season so far. And if you drop a like on this video, please, I would really appreciate it. It helps out a bunch. As always, thank you so much for watching. Have an awesome day, and I'll see you in the next one.